Fate, the Winx Saga Season 2, ending, explained. How did the fairies tackle the Blood Witches? Back for a second season, Fate, the Winx Saga introduces new villains in a mysterious dark realm. Alfea has gone through significant changes. Rosalind is the new headmistress, and she has her eyes and ears all over the college premise. Weak fairies are suspended by her at random, and the girls cannot get over the loss of Dowling. The mysterious disappearance of their beloved professor has left Bloom and her friends searching for answers. Saul Silva was found guilty of the attempted murder of Andreas and was to be exiled. Bloom did not trust Rosalind. She believed that letting her go was a terrible mistake she had made. Rosalind was not the only threat. There was someone else lurking around, hoping to seek revenge from the fairies. Who was Sebastian? What was his intention? Bloom, Aisha, Musa, and Tara managed to free Silva from the Solarian guards. He decided to stay in hiding at his friend Sebastian's store in Blackbridge. He had previously helped Dowling and Silva take down Rosalind. Now that Rosalind was back and taking control of Alfea, Silva knew Sebastian would help them. Rosalind would visit the east wing of the college, which consisted of ancient texts on magic. Bloom decided to uncover what Rosalind was up to, especially now that students from the college had started to disappear. The series builds suspense around who might be behind the disappearance of the students. Initially, all the evidence pointed to Rosalind. A student who had disappeared had escaped and asked for Rosalind to return his power. She was studying old texts, particularly those about summoning creatures with spells. Flora and Aisha had found one of the creatures in the underground chamber as well. With all the evidence, they accused Rosalind of working against their interests to gain more power. Rosalind then explained what she had been working on. She studied the texts to understand the ancient creature called Scraper, found originally in the realm of darkness, that was being used to attack fairies in the realm of Solaria. The creature fed on magic, and that was why students had been disappearing from Alfea. After studying the minds of the victims, Rosalind concluded that the Scrapers were summoned by a blood witch. The Blood Witches and fairies have been at war since ancient times, and this was their attempt to take all the power of the fairies and seize their existence. Only Bloom, with the power of the dragon flame, could destroy the enemy in question. Also, considering how hungry the Blood Witch was for power, they wanted to possess the dragon flame. Therefore, the confrontation between Bloom and the villain was inevitable. And thus began the hunt for the Blood Witch. As it turned out, the Blood Witch was none other than Sebastian. Since Blood Witch magic did not work on fairies, he sucked on the fairy powers and had become nearly undefeatable. He possessed every magical power now, though he lacked the power of dragon flame. He tried to take control of her by discussing how he knew about her birth parents, but her friends came to her rescue. Sebastian wanted to seek revenge for the Aster Dell massacre. He lost his parents during it. He gathered the remaining witches to destroy the fairies. His father was the one who found Bloom and brought her to the village, knowing the ancient magic she possessed. The war between the fairies and the Blood Witches could only be won with the dragon flame. Why did Bloom murder Rosalind? Bloom did not agree to give up her right to learn about her birth parents. Therefore, to escalate the situation, Sebastian used his knowledge to turn Bloom against Rosalind. He disclosed that Rosalind had murdered Dowling to become the headmistress of Alfea. Bloom had recently started to trust Rosalind, but after learning what she had done, she could not support her any longer. She went back to the otherworld and confronted Rosalind about Dowling's death. When Rosalind admitted to the crime, Bloom could not control her temper. Rosalind tortured her mentally, stating how she had planned to control the world with Bloom by her side, but now that she was turning against her, she had to make changes. She froze Bloom and suspended her, claiming that she could take the dragon flame from her against her will. But Rosalind had underestimated the power Bloom possessed. She broke free from Rosalind's spell, and she lost control of her rage. At that moment, she wanted nothing more than for Rosalind to die in front of her eyes. She transformed and burned Rosalind to death. Bloom was tried in a court of law and was found guilty. She was to remain in stasis and would be reevaluated after 20 years. Bloom was powerless in stasis, but unexpectedly, the woman who always protected her, stood right in front of her. Dowling had died, but before leaving the world, she drew on all the magic she could and asked the natural world to preserve her spirit. It was her desperate attempt to bid Bloom and her friends a final goodbye. She helped Bloom escape stasis and taught the group of friends how they could all transform if they focused on both the good and bad emotions. Finding the balance between emotions was the key to transformation, and once they achieved it, they would be able to reach the maximum potential of the magic they possessed.